Good day to everyone. Today, we are going to go into a less publicized but vital part of narcissistic behavior, which is their reaction when you refuse to pursue them after a breakup. What happens to you when you cease participating in their deceptive games? Have you ever given this any thought? Their annoyance and resentment will become apparent when you fail to provide them with the attention and approval that they so desperately need. It is expected of you to seek their favor, despite the fact that they have mistreated you. In other words, what happens if you quit participating in their game? By remaining silent, you are exposing their anxieties and shortcomings, so rejecting the deceptive strategies they employ. During this conversation, we are going to investigate the extent to which narcissists are dependent on the responses of others, as well as the extreme feelings that they suffer when things do not go their way. In spite of their outwardly confident demeanor, we will unearth the weakness and desperation that lies underlying it. The power dynamics and emotional upheaval that are inherent in narcissism are something that we will be navigating together. Prior to moving forward, it is imperative that we recognize the need of providing continuous support for these conversations. Your participation, likes, shares, and subscriptions contribute to the development of a community of comprehension, which in turn helps to disseminate insightful information to individuals who might require it. Let's take a look at the ways in which narcissism affects relationships, specifically the ways in which narcissists attempt to maintain power when relationships come to an end. Within the context of preserving their dominance over the dynamics of the relationship, they purposefully manipulate timing in order to protect themselves from being rejected. Once we are aware of these habits, we are better able to negotiate these kinds of relationships with clarity and resilience. Not only does having an understanding of narcissistic patterns arm us against emotional manipulation, but it also discloses the techniques that they employ. Let's go on this journey together, and by the time we reach the end, we will be strengthened and wiser in our relationships. There is a common perception among narcissists that others are dependent on them, which serves to reinforce their sense of superiority and control. The continuous quest is something they anticipate will bolster their ego and affirm their sense of self-importance. Due to the fact that they thrive on your reactions, even negative ones, in order to feel validated, it is extremely frustrating for them when you are unable to match their expectations. When you refuse to give them this, they experience feelings of being exposed and harmed. The anguish that lasts for a long time persists because they are no longer able to exert control over you. You are no longer there to keep their emotions under control. They become convinced that your lack of response is the reason for their own level of dissatisfaction, and they begin to blame you for it. According to their point of view, you become the adversary since you appear to be causing harm by failing to match their expectations. Despite the fact that it is a skewed viewpoint, it is how they perceive the world. In spite of the fact that they have committed wrongdoings such as lying, cheating, devaluing, and abandoning you, they begin to acknowledge that they are the ones who have been wounded. The fact that you are no longer willing to suffer for them and are no longer sacrificing yourself in the same way that you did in the past causes them to feel hurt. Understanding the mentality of narcissists might be difficult for individuals who are not accustomed with this type of thinking. They have little interest in anything other than themselves, including their wants, needs, and desires. By acknowledging this, interactions with them can be improved, and an understanding of their conduct can be gained. In order to preserve their sense of superiority and control, narcissists frequently resort to manipulative strategies during situations in which they are faced with their shortcomings or when their demands are not satisfied. There is a possibility that they will employ gaslighting techniques in order to manipulate reality and cause you to question your own views and feelings. They are able to divert any responsibility away from themselves and strengthen their narrative of victimhood through the use of manipulation. The need for attention and validation is what drives narcissists. It is possible for them to react aggressively and turn to behavior that is intended at reclaiming the spotlight when they believe that they are not receiving the admiration that they believe they deserve by themselves. It is possible for these acts to include things like making dramatic displays, spreading gossip, or disparaging others in order to lift themselves up. Narcissists frequently fail to comprehend the consequences of their conduct, despite the fact that they inflict damage to the relationships they have. They are very good at defending their actions and portraying themselves as heroes even when they are misunderstood in their own narratives. Because of this lack of self-awareness, they are unable to develop meaningful connections with one another that are founded on mutual respect and understanding, which in turn perpetuates a cycle of destructive behavior. Generally speaking, narcissists adopt a different approach than the majority of people do when it comes to self-reflection and accountability situations. They have a tendency to place blame on others, refusing to accept responsibility for their behavior, rather than admitting that they are doing something wrong and making an effort to make apologies. A lack of reflection makes it difficult to work with narcissists since they consistently fail to learn from their mistakes. This makes it difficult to deal with them. Despite the fact that narcissists may show a wish to mend relationships, their attempts are frequently hampered by a deep-seated anger and a desire for vengeance. They continue to be locked in a cycle of bitterness, alternating between worrying over perceived wrongs and faking of indifference, despite the fact that they have made outward steps to reconcile with one another. A barrier to actual progress and personal development is created when one experiences an emotional roller coaster consisting of rage, retaliation, and denial. In their efforts to restore control or to soothe their wounded ego, narcissists may resort to deceptive strategies such as hoovering in order to attract individuals back into their lives or to rush into new relationships in order to find approval. Nevertheless, these efforts frequently fail because they invariably result in feelings of irritation and self-pity, which in turn perpetuates dysfunction and makes it more difficult to find a genuine resolution. Narcissists are generally characterized by their strong fury in response to any perceived challenge to their ego or superiority. This is because they are driven by an unquenchable thirst for adoration and validation. Anger is not a transitory emotion, but rather a deeply ingrained emotion that is sparked by criticism or rejection. Their inability to tolerate anything that poses a danger to their sense of self-worth can result in a variety of aggressive or manipulative behaviors being displayed. Notwithstanding this, narcissistic fury is inextricably linked to the individual's sense of entitlement and their inflated sense of self-importance. As a result of the fact that they do not receive the adoration or compliance that they believe they are entitled to, they may react with rage since they consider this to be a direct criticism of their supposed superiority. It is difficult for them to deal with criticism or rejection without responding violently or seeking retribution because this entitlement reinforcing their idea that they are above criticism and entitled to special treatment makes it difficult for them to face criticism or rejection. In conclusion, gaining an understanding of narcissistic fury requires acknowledging the intricate relationship that exists between the individual's weak sense of self-esteem, their ongoing need for validation, and their misguided feeling of entitlement. It is possible for individuals to handle relationships with narcissists more effectively if they acknowledge the underlying dynamics that are at play. This allows individuals to establish boundaries to protect themselves from being manipulated while simultaneously demonstrating empathy for the anxieties that are the driving force behind narcissistic behavior. We extremely value your participation in the conversations that we are having. We cannot thank you enough for being such an important part of our audience and for the insightful insights you have made.
Ever pondered the intricate ways narcissists shift their behavior when you stand up for yourself? It's a maze of frustration and bewilderment when individuals with narcissistic tendencies veer off the expected path. Understanding their patterns can empower you in navigating personal interactions or workplace dynamics. But the more we uncover, the deeper the labyrinth becomes. To the malicious, outspoken individuals pose grave threats, for they exude confidence and remain unswayed by narcissistic manipulation. Their unwavering self-assurance poses a direct challenge to the narcissist's mental gamesmanship, prompting shifts in behavior when met with assertiveness. Stay tuned as we delve into their true sentiments regarding those they perceive as formidable. This presentation will unveil common responses, equipping you with the means to engage confidently and sidestep their snares. Initially, they endeavor to diminish your achievements. Upon recognizing your resilience, they embark on a campaign to trivialize your triumphs. Diligently, they scour for perceived flaws, errors, or alleged incompetence to chip away at your self-worth. Leveraging past missteps as weapons, they seek to belittle and manipulate, relishing in their ability to undermine your confidence. They harbor no desire to witness your growth or success, preferring instead to dwell on past grievances to undermine your value and dignity. These tactics serve not only to diminish your spotlight, but also to safeguard their dominance from scrutiny. Second, they will see you as their enemy and be mean to you because of it. Multiple situations can happen when a narcissist senses your growing personal power. These situations depend on the type of narcissist you are dealing with. To give you an example, a covert narcissist might be attracted to your power, bravery, confidence, and authority at first. But as time goes on, these traits make them angry and scared. Your tough image acts as a mirror, showing them their flaws, deficiencies, or moral slip-ups. The qualities they used to admire become things that bother them. When they see you change, you become the bad guy, which makes them suddenly see themselves as the victim and use the story to their own benefit. This victimization trope often comes up when people meet hidden narcissists. They always put themselves in the role of the victim, even when they're the ones who started or kept the dispute going. An outspoken and cocky narcissist might be drawn to your power and personal authority at first, finding the challenge of your strong personality interesting and impossible to resist. When they learn it won't work, though, they lose interest in trying to control, manipulate, influence, trick, or dominate you. At this point, your strength and perseverance are the most important things to them, which makes them angry and gives them permission to act in a way that they think is completely right. Covert narcissists may try to hide their anger, jealousy, or fear, but if you're smart, you can see through their mask without them knowing. On the other hand, overt narcissists quickly go from being friendly to showing what they really are because they aren't as good at hiding their feelings and hurt ego. No matter what type of narcissist they are clearly good at lying and controlling others. Hidden narcissists, on the other hand, act in ways that are very different from others. Third, their goal is to make you question your own abilities. Nasty narcissists get pleasure from finding your weaknesses because it makes them feel better about themselves. Their only goal is to make you question your skills, worth, and potential, which will make you feel guilty, ashamed, afraid, inadequate, and unsafe. They keep their power over you by making you feel these feelings, which keeps you stuck in self-doubt and negativity. In a strange way, their behavior comes from their deep-seated fears and hatred of themselves, which is hard to understand unless you've been emotionally and psychologically manipulated yourself. Even so, this is what egotistical behavior is all about. 4. Get ready for a change in how they act. The fact that narcissists don't usually go after people they think are beneath them is a strange discovery. If a destructive narcissist is interested in you, it's probably because they secretly like some things about you. Maybe what makes you stand out is that you are always positive, have a lot of understanding, and have done amazing things in your personal and intellectual life. When they're with you, they enjoy the false impression of high status, which makes them feel validated and satisfied at first. At first, you are strong, powerful, and full of life, the opposite of a narcissist. But this is where the twist comes in. As was already said, narcissists feel the need to show that they are better than other people. They are obsessed by the facade of being better, no matter how true it is. Eventually, they can't handle how strong you are, which is especially true for people who hurt others. It depends on when you notice this change. You may notice it right away or over time as you see how it affects your friendship with them. Rest assured, though, that the change will be clear. If this conversation has taught you something, you might want to join our group. Number 5. Their main goal is to hurt your image. Narcissists always want to be in charge, both of themselves and of other people. When they feel like they're losing power over you, they use manipulative tactics to protect their front. They tell a story about you that changes how other people see, judge, and treat you, a sort of backup plan, if you will. What was their goal? To make you feel weaker by embarrassing, making fun of, and putting down you. Additionally, their sneaky nature means that you might not notice this sneaky behavior for a long time. Narcissists are very good at making up lies and hiding the truth, and they don't feel bad about it. In addition, they are very good at keeping up a normal appearance while secretly working against you. This behavior isn't limited to certain situations. It can happen in family ties, friendships, the workplace, and romantic relationships. Think about egotistical parents who control and manipulate their kids in an authoritarian way. Egotistical in-laws also enjoy sullying the reputations of strangers or people who aren't related to them in order to show how much better they are. Narcissistic ex-partners will also do these hurtful things to hurt your image as you move on from the relationship. Our film on post-narcissistic dating can help people who are going through the after-effects of a narcissistic relationship. Number 6. Their main goal is to regain what they think is power over you. It is important to understand that selfish people want to be in charge of and dominate others. Making their wants and needs come true is more important than anything else. They take a big hit to their pride, though, when their plans fall apart or when they lose control. Realizing that you don't give in to their requests or accidentally make them look less important hurts their fragile ego. In reaction, they do whatever it takes to prove that they are better than you. The important thing is that it's not about you at all. Their fears and need to be in charge come from problems they are having inside. There is, however, a bright side. You have the power to do something. Your health and safety come first. It is possible to trick a narcissist who thinks you are too dangerous. First, cut off all ties. As much as possible, stay away from the ego. You're basically cutting them off from their narcissistic supply, which takes away the power they want. As soon as possible, you should cut off all contact with a narcissist. This means cutting off all contact and making it impossible for them to get in touch with you. But if you find it hard or impossible to be completely detached, try to act in a way that doesn't respond. The goal is to spend as little time as possible in the unhealthy relationship with the narcissist. After you've built up a good space, turn your attention to self-care and personal growth. Take the time to care for yourself and start a path of healing and finding out more about yourself. During this time, take back your power and boost your confidence. Also, use this chance to break any subconscious patterns or loops that bring narcissists into your life, especially if this isn't the first time you've met them. Finally, let's talk about how important it is to set limits. Setting healthy limits is an important life skill, especially for people who have dealt